welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. So my name is Shachar Cohen, and I'm the Content Operations Manager in Exlibris. And today I would like to talk to you about the Content Ingest process. Basically, we will distinguish between two content ingest that we have in Exlibris. The first one is the new content ingest from the moment that we receive the request to ingest new content. These requests mainly comes through the idea exchange, and we will go over the ingestion process itself. The second is the existing content update ingest, which is being done mostly automatically whenever we have an updated title list available from the provider. So I would like to start with who we are. So this is the content operations group, and if you joined the previous sessions, you probably saw this slide. It's a very famous slide in our group. So we will do like a high-level overview of the content operations group. We will follow the data flow of the content, and you will see all the stations. So we start with the providers, the content providers, who supplies us with the collections information such as name and description and some technical information. Basically talking about the linking syntax, and of course we get the title list itself. The data and the information are being handed by the provider relations team to the delivery operations team. And the delivery operations team creates the required setup and automation and ingests the content. And from this point and going forward, the content is being updated automatically and is supported by our content support teams. This is the chain, as you can see, from the provider to the customer. The entire process is being followed closely by our beloved product manager, Rel, and the development team. As you can see on the left side of the slide. This is also a famous slide that you probably saw on the previous sessions. So this is the fourth and the last 2021 webinar. The purpose of this session is to talk about the content ingest process. So let's just start by looking at the entire process from the point that we get the request and through the chain until we have the information ingested in our KBs. So the process starts, as mentioned, with a request to take an action on our knowledge bases. It can come from the product manager who prioritizes new content requests. It can come from the provider through the provider relations team, just to add or fix something related to their content. And it can come from the customer through the support team. Basically, such requests are coming required operations team involvement, and this is the point that we step in. Of course, there is a fourth route, an internal one, when operations team identify flows during ongoing monitoring or QA routines. We generate an internal task for ourselves, and also such a request is being entered in our pool of tasks. All the requests are being translated into tasks using a Jira system, and the tasks, the Jira tickets, are being reviewed on a weekly basis in a dedicated meeting. This meeting is called a triage. And in this meeting, we have representatives from all the relevant teams reviewing the new Jira tickets to ensure that we have clear and valid information and that everything exists to enable the ingestion process. Within the following week, the operations team estimates the required work effort and schedule the task with a release version that will include the task. And then the task is being assigned to a specific analyst. and if the task is originated in support, meaning that it comes from the customers, so once the task is scheduled, automatically the customer will be notified with the expected resolution time. So from this point on, the tasks are being assigned to a specific release and are being processed by the operations team and released to the knowledge bases. So this is the end-to-end process in very, very high level. And I want to focus, as mentioned, on the new content requests and then on the automatic updates process. So let's look at the new content ingestion process in more detailed view. So the first step is, of course, the analysis. The content operations team received a sample title list from the provider relations team, and we start the analysis. We check that the title list is suitable for ingest and that it stands on the data standards for ingest. If you take a KBAT, for example, is a good example of suitable format which can be easily ingest. We also check the we also check the title list, the linking syntax in the title list to understand if any manipulation should be done on the links. And basically, we just try to estimate if the collection in question can be maintained on an ongoing basis. So the second phase is creating the collection envelope. The envelope includes the interface, the provider, the collection description, and all the relevant linking parser information based on the analysis, the initial analysis that we just did. We also create the automation once the envelope is created. We configure automatic update process. We include setting up the automatic update program, data parser, for example. This is something that mostly kick in with formats that are not on the standard one and need data manipulations just to make sure it is ingestible. We also set up the fetch mechanism to harvest the updated title list whenever they're available. And then we're good to go with the ingest process itself. As you can see from this point and going forward, there are several points of QA, quality assurance, that are being done on the collection, on the ingested content. I think this is a good opportunity to explain that new collections will always go through these steps. This is very important to understand that even if we are working with a specific provider, meaning that unfortunately there are no shortcuts when it comes to a new content ingest, and all the tests and the checks are required. Again, even if we are working with a specific provider, it doesn't mean that the formats and the future title lists for new content will be in the same format, in the same standards and encoding. So this is something that we do for each and every new collection. All right, so at this point, we manually verify that the configuration is set properly. This is the first QA that we take. The content is now being loaded to a staging environment. The staging environment is a production lookalike environment on which we check the title count in comparison to the title list. We verify that there are no encoding issues, and of course that we run a link checker that checks all the loaded links to make sure everything is set properly. On production, we load the same batch of content, and again, we check the title count versus the title list. We verify no encoding issues, and again, we run the link checker. These two steps, again, to assure that the data is being released to customers at the best form and high quality as we can. All right, about the release steps, we will talk about it a bit later. Just want to show you the new collection volume that we ingest year by year. The ingest process is extremely important, as you probably understand, for the business, and the demand for new content keeps growing. Therefore, we are an ongoing improvement process to make sure it is efficient and scalable to ensure that the ability to load growing volume of new content is at place. In the chart, you can see the year-by-year growth of the new collection volume that we ingest. And as you can see, I put here an arrow with 59% that demonstrate the change and the increase in the volume of 2021 compared to 2018. This is a huge growth. All right. So we talked about new collection ingest, and I want to show you the difference. Well, it's somewhat similar to existing content of automatic updates, which also involve the same processes of ingestion. Only here we base the process on the initial configuration and setup that are being done when the collection is initially loaded. So the first step will be the fetch of the title list. So in order to ensure an ongoing updates process, these parameters from the initial configuration must remain stable. Unless the process might fail, and I'm talking about the title list location, the name convention of the title list, the format of the file, and encoding, of course. These parameters cannot be changed. Okay, of course they can be changed, but in order to keep supporting it and update the collection to make sure it's current and updated, so such changes or changes in general should be coordinated with us, and we can adjust the configuration accordingly. But in general, it's something that is hard coded and is being set up after a thorough analysis to make sure that we identify the fields, the title list location, the format as mentioned. The second phase is transformation and normalize of the data. As I explained, some of the data supplied in the title list may require a manipulation. It's not the standard format, and we need to do some normalization of the data. The title list is processed through a predefined parser, and the data is being normalized and transformed to enable the ingestion. So from this point, again, we load the data into the staging environment, the production lookalike environment, and then we run the quality tests. It's the same test as we do in the initial load phase. So we're checking again the title list, the title count that it contains the same amount of titles as the title list. We verify that there are no encoding issues, and the link checker again runs and checks all the loaded loaded links to make sure that we don't have any failures. And the same we do on the development, on the the production environment. We load the data, we check everything to make sure that there are no issues with the ingestion. And although the process, the automatic update process, is a fully automated one, still there are manual checks that are being performed. At the end of the flow here, you can see that the phase report. So a load report is generated at the end of the process, and the operations team manually check the report, check the collection involved, and only upon approval, the ingested collection are being released to the customers. So these are basically 4 steps of the process, the automated ongoing process. I just want to summarize it. In order to keep our KBs mostly updated and current, the ingestion process steps are being examined and improved at all time. We try to make it better and efficient. So once the initial configuration is set, there is a minimal manual work required. And this way we gain efficiency and able to process more content with our existing resources. Currently, the described automatic update mechanism process take care of more than 42,000 collections, which is huge amount of data that are being processed on an ongoing basis. And this efficiency allows us to allocate the resources to the most important part of the process, which you can imagine, I'm talking about the quality assurance, the QA, which is mostly done automatically, but a lot of manual work is involved here. So to elaborate a little bit on the QA process, I want to talk about the link checker. The link checker, as mentioned, is a tool, is an essential tool that checks automatically all the loaded links. So this tool generates open URLs, which creates links for each and every title. The link is being open on the provider platform. And once the link is open, the tool verifies that the open page matches the title in question, meaning there is a comparison done on the title, on the image, on every parameter that we can verify that the title is the one that we try to get to. Then we receive a report that is being automatically sent to us, and the report at the end of the run, and the report indicates if the link passes, fails, or ambiguous. And based on this report, the process is either load the data into the KBs automatically if everything goes smoothly, or it puts the load on hold and pending the operations team to manually check and fix the data and approve the content for release. Just taking into account that this might involve the provider through the provider relations team, in case we need to get an updated title list, fixed title list, which is an option of this. This can be the cause of the failure links. I put here some more examples of QA tests that we take to ensure again that the integrity of the data, that everything is working as it should. So the first one that I want to show you is the many change portfolio tests. This is a test that basically checks all the changes or the volume of the changes in the ingest, compares to the total count of the titles, and if it goes through specific threshold that we initially set, so the changes and the data loaded is put on hold and waits for manual manual check and perhaps fix or just approval. But this is something that involves the operations team, which is manually checking the data, checking it compares to the title list, and only after we verify that everything is okay and the amount of changes are expected to be done and enter the knowledge bases, we approve it, and the data can be ingested into the KBs and to release. Another test which is very important and interesting one is we check if there are portfolios that are being deleted and created on the same revision. This means that perhaps something went wrong with the title list. It can be identifiers that has changed, or a column that moved, which created a mismatch with the data that we have in the KB, in the knowledge base. And at this point, the portfolio, the existing portfolios are being deleted and new ones are being created instead. This is a change that we do not approve for release. Usually, we will go into the system and try to identify the root cause, because we don't want to change any portfolio's IDs or technical information that will create additional steps to be done. And basically, we reverse the process, and the deleted portfolios are being resurrected, and the new ones are being deleted, and only then the content is being released to the KBs and to the customers. These two are a very important tests that we take, and it's important for me to show you that these tests are being done just to assure that the data that we load is in the best shape and do not cause any issues on the customer side. So I put here another several examples. For example, incorrect string in certain field. Perhaps the publisher put some tabs or spaces, or basically any string that is not expected. This is something that we check. We check if we have a mismatch with the identifiers, if the identifiers exist in the KB, in the knowledge base, and relates to other title. Basically, we do like a sanity checks on the data that we receive from the providers, just to make sure that we ingest correct and updated information. Let's see. Yeah. So as I mentioned, the final step of the chain is the release to the customers. So if we start with the content that we ingest, which can be the new content that we described before, the updated collections or the existing collections, and also deletions for titles that are no longer part of the title lists. So all these changes are being loaded on the staging environment, and we're manually checking manually and automatically checking all the loaded information on the loaded data. Again, the link checker is involved here. So manual and automatic QA steps are being done here at this phase. For Alma and SFX, as you probably know, the cycle, the release cycle is weekly. So the weekly update is created. We're talking about packaging the entire data changes that are being done throughout this week, and the same test that we did on the staging environment is being done on the production, just to make sure we don't have any regressions or issues with the data that we load. And then after all these tests, and when everybody involved, all the stakeholders involved approve the revision, we release it to the customers on Sunday. Again, this is Alma and SFX weekly cycle. Take a look at 360. 360 is a bit different. 360 doesn't have a weekly release. The changes, the new content, the updates, the deletions are being loaded to the staging environment, and we perform all, all the QA, the manual and the automatic QA tests, which are being reviewed in a specific page in 360 KB, and being approved that they are ready and suitable for production. And once approved, the data already appears in production, released to production. This is a bit different release cycle in 360 KB. All right. So this is basically just to show you the volume, the volume of the data that we ingest in our KBs. So we're talking about more than 42,000 full text collections, more than 22,000 of database collections, the zero title databases. We handle more than 6,000 providers, 85 million, it's a huge number, 85 million portfolios, and 10 million bib records in Alma. These numbers increased dramatically the last few years, and as I explained, the demand for new content and for additional collections to be loaded is just growing and growing, and the purpose of being efficient and more productive is to enable the scalability and to be able to load more and more content at the best quality that possible. We invest a lot of time in improving our quality tests, quality assurance tests, all the QA tests that are being done automatically and manually. This is something that is also fluid. We add more tests upon situations that we stumble into, again, just to make sure that we deliver the highest quality, top class quality content to our customers. The purpose of demonstrating the ingest process of the content operations team is to show you and connect you, our customers, to the process, to the steps that we are taking. We take a lot of actions. I think this is something that probably understood from my presentation. We take a lot of measures to make sure that the quality the quality is the highest value of the content of our content, and it's very important for us, and we're doing our very best to make sure that we ingest a high quality content, and just to make sure that the databases are full with the current and updated data, but also at the highest quality that possible. Quality is the key word here.